of Cess, banning fees, storage, and market levies. There are also other types of levies that we'll be able to discuss. So all these influence the price that we pay for cereals, for vegetables, for fruits, and other food items. And then I'm saying this because I would like to set the stage for us to discuss what that this actually means to the producer and the consumer. But what is Cess? What do we mean by Cess? Cess is a charge which is imposed by governments on trading of commodities. This would be maize, milk, cattle, would be vegetables, fish, tea, flowers, and it's supposed to be charged so that raises revenue for the county, for the old council holiday. Also known as market, it's also known as land and fees, in the case that it is charged when goods land on the markets, where they are landed, processed, or sold. It is also charged on inputs such as seeds, and especially when you move from one county to the other, and especially by random vehicles. There are also undesired charges like parking fees, branding charges, advertisement costs, and also other charges that transporters or products or food products have to pay on the road, including paint price and all that. So that is basically the anatomy of this part of Cess. How does that affect our economy? At the moment, branded vehicles that are supplying seed to various parts of Kenya will be paying about 20,000 or 50,000 shillings, depending on capacity. What does this? This means that it increases the distribution cost of seed by about 0.48%. And of course, it increases the production cost to farmers by about 2%. And for every 1% increase in Cess, then it will mean that production cost goes up by 48%, and production cost goes up by 40%. This reduces the affordability. Producers and the small government is trying to use the commodities based on the quantity of source. And what happens is that this increases market cost, while the farm prices and profit market prices. The buyers who obtain from farmers will need to lower marketing fees and transportation fees and sales to the producer. So the producer gets less price. And then they are able to transfer this burden to the market so that the consumer pays more. So you can see how the reality is to the producer and to the consumer and overall to the economy. Landing fees charged at the market level will increase marketing costs, raise consumer prices, and reduce food affordability. Further, the organic farming are charged to agrochemical companies. And what does this mean to them? It increases distribution costs and reduces inputs affordability. And I will be able to demonstrate in this presentation how different countries charge different charges for different for distribution costs. Transporters are sometimes supposed to pay police fees on the way, which are illegal fees. Of course, and the law is with their cost of distribution, increase the price of commodities, and at the market, reduce farm gate prices. Transport ISD would be paying up about 3.85 shillings per kilogram for export fee, which of course reduces farmer income. So we can go on and on talking about the economics of this, but this is basically the evidence that I want to share with you. Now, when you look at the charges like the prices, you find that in Kericho, they are charging about 9 shillings per 9 kilogram bag. In Tanzania, it's 50 shillings for 9 kilogram bag. In Narok, it's 50 shillings. In Kakamega, is 7 shillings. In Kakamega, in the kind of onions, in Nairobi, is 100 shillings per bag. In Kakamega, is 100 shillings per bag. For Irish potatoes, in Nakuru, is 50 shillings per bag, while in the Nairobi, is 20 shillings per bag. I'm sure you know the sensitivity from some of these companies. And this is the data that you found with this. You could be adding more data because you are already know how the finance requires. So we can be able to update the information. But what I'm trying to say is that there is no harm in our challenges. Even in counties that are geographically very close, you find there's no difference. Now, when these products land in the various ports or various markets in Nairobi and Mombasa, you find that for onions, is 20 shillings per 14 kilogram net, whereby in Mombasa is 130 shillings per bag. So they talk about a net, they talk about the bag. So there is no harmony in terms of the unit of measure. The methodology is definitely not good. And that will be highly potato and local for many and cannot be bought at commodity. So the echoes that distributed products are being charged different charges at different counties. Like for example, Tanzania is about 1,000 shillings per year. In Malawi, it's 6,000. And just the nearby Migori is 1,000. Let's look for a county like Embu, 17,200, that costed nearly 27,000. You can see the geography of Delhi, the geography of Embu, the distances may not be so different for the this difference. And this you can go on and on and see that there's no harmony in terms of how this is applied. Originally, Cess is supposed to be held back for agricultural development. So we looked at the county budgets and the expenditure from 2013 to 2020 and looked at how Cess was plowed back. And for various countries that we looked at, we found that the percentage of Cess collected that is plowed back to development of part of the expenditure for that particular county would be about 8% of their group, 1% for Kericho, 2% for Tanzania, 6% for Meru, and on average, they're about 5%. There's some literature, Tegemeo and other places that is pointing to about 1%. So meaning that the amount of Cess that grows, the amount of Cess is collected is significant, but the amount of Cess distributed to development is significant and way below 10%. And that is important to this meeting. County finance acts enabled by 1.5 of the Constitution to enact and gazette county finance acts, and then counties have done this. All these are published, and you see that this is already going on, but there is no harmony. So these are just examples of sharing. The whole evolution in consultation with the minister, according to the Agriculture Act, Chapter 318, and Local Government Act, Chapter 265, the minister for local government would impose assess on tradable and tradable quantities, and 80% according to that law, this says, was supposed to be plowed back to maintain agriculture-related infrastructure, to enable movement of goods to markets, to enable better infrastructure, better markets, and good productivity. After the revolution, Cess was started under the PPM Act, whereby counties were mandated to enact county finance and counter appropriation acts so as to authorize this charge. But there is no explicit definition among the main tax categories and counties. And then all this happened if the counties were able to enact this on finance act, gazetted and charge Cess, but not remotely across the county landscape. Now, here as a resolution, we find that there is no clear guideline on how Cess is calculated. And there's no policy that guides or you calculate the determine child Cess based per kilo or terms of potatoes per sack, 50 kilograms, 90 kilograms, whatever it is, that is not there. The formula is not known. And then you see all these different variations. Now, what does it do if I know that in a certain county you charge higher than another county and get what I'm looking for? Then I'll avoid the county that charges higher. Because man prefers more less. It's not clear how Cess is utilized, how development, and it's very unclear what benefits trickle to farmers as a result of it. And in the determination process, in the decision to charge Cess, there is no evidence that farmers or farming communities are involved in the public administration or in the farming. Maybe our president of the council will tell us how this is mentioned within the public administration available. So there are multiple charging practices across counties, and these are supported by so many studies that have been done on this particular side. Now, Cess has also attracted investigation, and the council and the courts, there are quite a number of cases. The legal team that's here will tell about make quite a number of cases that have been litigated about Cess. And the courts have also pronounced themselves on Cess. And they observed that national and county government policies around Cess are unclear, and they create a vacuum in the guidelines that relate to utilization, collection and utilization of Cess. So this invalidates the County Finance and County Corporation Act. There is no linkage between the amount of Cess collected and the service provided to that particular value chain. The payment is not reflected in the reduction of prices for farmers or producers, especially they are not sent to farming community. And of course, the way it's collected does not adhere to the principles of openness and accountability in financial matters, in line with Article 295 of our Constitution. And it says about 1% of the budget targets. So it is not a significant source of revenue as it is organized. It could be changed. We've also looked at what other jurisdictions are doing about this. And we looked around the world, in Africa and other places. We found that those who legislate, economies that legislate, are now direct benefits to the farming community or the community at large. And these are examples of India, examples of UK. There are some other places where Cess charge is a fraction or a factor of the turnover factor. This is an example we get from the UK. So there are also other places whereby actors, like farm organizations, traders, are organized themselves in a way that they can collect and be able to plow back financial public goods. There are also other places that have looked at this and rationalize the tax system in a way that does not utilize economic activities. There are also other jurisdictions that are pushing producers for taxation by setting minimum threshold for turnover for attracting tax. Having taxation at a certain level, and these examples would be like Burundi, Tanzania, and also certain areas where actors or players are also benefit from tax holidays so that they can offset the cost of doing business. So, with all of that information, we came up with the joint family and private sector position paper, rationalized Cess. We synthesized all the findings consulted with so many stakeholders, analyzed the data, and used that to build this case. We also outlined the key issues, the challenges and opportunities associated with the current system, including the political economy, and who stands to lose what and who stands to gain what. We looked at all of issues that we came up with this position paper. And we recommended actionable steps for government action, including potential reforms, policy changes, or even alternative approaches. And what we recognize that there are some ongoing efforts at various levels, like this appeal in Senate around Cess, and I'm sure the COG is doing something about Cess, and even counties are looking at this, including the enactment of the county finance bills. And we will make it clear, we will try as much as possible to make the position paper evidence-based, concise, and in a way that the communicates the key messages that we like the government and other stakeholders to hear and so on. So what informs the policy position paper? Number one is we want to get out of the habitually way in which Cess is charged. We need to avoid double taxation, and this is issues relating to increased transportation costs, increased streaming costs of food products. We also need to deal with the issues related to the cumbersome inspections, the delays, especially the perishable goods, that of course impact on logistics and business operation. We want to make the business more competitive. We also want to deal with the need or the reality that sometimes some companies may charge access on roads that are national roads. That's a limitation. And we also want to deal with the issue where different companies adopt different units of measure. Some per package, others per package, others by size of motor vehicle, others number of trips. And because this creates different areas, and it hinders the free movement of goods across the counties, across the country. We also want to deal with the issues about the increases of the cost of distributing produce from the farm to the market, which directly affects farmers. Farmer prices need to increase production activity. We want to make the agricultural business more competitive. We need to increase productivity. We need to deal with different counties at different rates, which causes disparities in the credit value chain, leads to market distortion. We need to deal with issues about who sets payments. Some pay twice from the country of origin, the destination country, and along the countries in transit. And we also want to ensure that the Cess collected is able to be plowed back so that there's a quick arrangement between the Cess collected and the benefits to the Cess pay. So this would paper calls about governments to rationalize Cess, and this is by through public policy and reform of legislation to rationalize the issues that surround Cess and other market-based delays. So what does it mean? We have seen the government with an international legislation to harmonize collection of Cess and other market levies and the campus line with 495 of the Constitution. And to put in place standards and uniformity to create competitiveness in procurement goods, services, capital, and labor. And then we also look for minimum and maximum caps so that there is uniformity and for distortion of the market. Then also asking for a single point of payment, preferably the country of origin, and then the quid pro quo arrangement, whereby Cess charges reflect agro services to the Cess pay. And then also calling for public participation and to advocacy in a way that when all these things have happened, public participation becomes very important for the county district processes for Cess to show that government holds the values of accountability, transparency, the administration of county Cess collections. And we are convinced in our view that these policies and reforms legislation which we are seeking through this position paper, is going to enhance productivity, competitiveness, and attract investment in the agricultural sector. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ben. Somebody brought it to my attention that the gentlemen who did not introduce themselves when we were doing that. Give me a second to do exactly that. All right, thank you, and especially when they're key in terms of our business today.
Good morning. My name is Robert Brady. Advisor for trade and MSMEs at the Cess, what we call President's Economic Transformation. Thank you.
Hello, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. My name is Odero Jeffrey. I'm representing the Principal Secretary for State Department for Trade. Thank you.
If I was holding a government job, it would have gone for having forgotten how those two very important gentlemen in the government introduce themselves to us. Thank you very much for your indulgence, gentlemen. I think we've had a wonderful presentation there by Ben. It's amazing when you look at the figures, when you look at the facts, exactly the kind of pressure that producers in this country had to deal with for quite a few decades, if I can put it like that. But it's also pleasing to see that private sector has taken it upon themselves as they should to address these issues so that we're able to inform our partners in government in terms of what the cesses mean as far as competitiveness is concerned, as far as productivity is concerned. I think it's wonderful that private sector has actually managed to amass this that speaks so directly and so using figures. I'm not like with figures, data. You cannot agree with that to speak to the issues of Cess, which for the longest time we wondered what is actually Cess and what is actually tax. But I think Ben has explained it very well. The bottom line is that Cess is supposed to deliver a service that is supposed to enhance productivity, sustainability of the businesses, the various businesses carry out, not just about the farmers, but it's really throughout the whole value chain. Ladies and gentlemen, I again beg your indulgence, change the program once more. This comes out of a need that has come up, and we need to be sensitive to elements that surprise us once in a while. And I would like you to allow me to bring Sheila to the podium to make a presentation on the legal framework, so that when we address the issues that came from Ben's presentation, we can also look at what does the law talk about. And I think that's a good combination, at the end of which then we shall have the whole picture, and we can then go into the various other presenters and their inputs and our inputs as well, so that we can have the full picture as I said. So, Sheila, are you in a position to do this right away?
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, I was waiting to see if Madam Chair was speaking with my French. Yes. But it is everyone for himself. So basically, my name is Sheila. Yes, I'm the director, legal affairs.
Interference, then the cows or the animals, they reduce mass. And again, the person bringing that particular produce is going to lose. So the main information or the clarity that the government would like members of the county government and the business people to understand is that Cess is basically charged at source. Okay? Because that is where you are releasing that particular item to go to the market. You don't charge it on the road because first of all, why are you charging it on the road? You know, the roads, most of them, I think 80% are national government roads. So what you're doing is double pay, charges. Because once you've charged it when it's leaving, for example, let's say it's leaving let's talk about Mira says it's leaving Mira. Once you charge it as it leaves Mira, because you want it to get to the airport when it's fresh, okay? So from the land where it is being got to the exit of Meru, that is where you charge Cess, because you're going to work on that. You have to work on that road to and make sure they get into the national highway. From there, the whole way to the airport, nobody should charge them anything. And if they are charged, then you reimburse it back or you agree there has to be an arrangement between yourself. If they have a receipt showing that
and you can confirm even the price. If you doubt that they were charged or they got a way out and they were charged, but you return it back, because it is tax, so it's not classic. So I hope that can process. And this is one of the national policy. The second part is Cess is not charging clients. You don't charge Cess for audience. In fact, I was very confused when the presenter was talking about advertising. Advertisement against Cess is completely different. But then I realized the Cess they are charging for advertisement are on agricultural things. And that's why they call it Cess. But advertisement charges are so different from Cess. As I say, Cess is supposed to enable your goods to get to the market as possible to fetch the highest price. When you can Cess in the markets for onions, for potatoes, and these goods are not even for export. Cess is actually for goods that are on the way to export. So if the national government has this dialogue and has an agreed position, because the constitution says we work in cooperation
to work with the governments, and we work in cooperation, and we have an agreed position that let's all agree that Cess will be charged only for goods and items that are going for export. Then there's the Cess for the stones, there's the Cess for the sand, there's the Cess for the trees. I mean, now Cess is being charged everywhere. It doesn't make sense, you know. And when you look at the amount of money that is collected, which I will share with you because we have that data, you'll see that it's very negligible. In fact, county governments, what they should do is they should charge for the transportation because of the disturbance on the roads. But that is not Cess. They have to find another legal name for it. Thank you very much. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to share before I go to so let me see, no. Yeah, got it. So basically, I'll go directly to what I said. I had already told you that Cess is an indirect tax. It's not even supposed to be a tax, but because now it is being seen, it's not going back, plowing back to the government services, people look at it as tax. And you can see it targets agriculture produce. And that's where it hurts because most of the Kenyans, most of their business rotate around agriculture. And so when you start interfering with the way they're doing business, then you know that you're hurting the economy. And I think that's why His Excellency is very concerned about this section, this particular sector. So when you talk about tax, why are we equating Cess to be a tax? Because tax is an expropriation of private property. So the legal basis for raising tax should be very clear. For example, property rates. You know you're collecting tax because you want to provide infrastructure for buildings and properties around there. But it's not necessary. Whoever puts a house there must still build a borehole, collect their water. So it does not have a service connotation with it when it's a tax. Okay. And therefore, when we look at these issues of taxes and fees and charges, then you find yourself asking these particular questions, which will clarify at the end of this day, that can a county government finance act impose taxes and fees? What about the national laws that affect only county revenues? And this, the court, in fact, the Supreme Court in Lenaola's judgment was very clear, and he said that counties cannot impose tax for things like Cess. Very, very clear about it. Fees and charges are very different from taxes. So you'll see that even the Constitution is very clear. It tells you that you can only charge two taxes, entertainment tax and property tax. Anything else in relation to trade licenses are fees and charges. So when you move from a tax and you go to fees and charges, then you must justify why you're charging that fee. And I was going to share with you one of the ways we are trying to help the county governments identify some of the services that they need to cost so that they can be able to find the basis of their fees and charges. So you can see that the only two taxes county governments can impose is property and entertainment. Anything else is illegal. And this is very important for counties because the minute you start calling these things taxes, court will throw them out and you'll not be able to receive that money. So my colleague had talked about some of the laws, and you can see the Agriculture, Fish and Food Authority Act in section 4 talks about the agricultural levies and the cabinet secretary is employed to charge. And there are some charges that have been put in that act that the county governments collect. The T Act, you can also say, it says 15% to be applied in infrastructure. So you see the money they collect from the T has to go back to the infrastructure. Horticultural bill, the crops bill, and these are laws that you can access them through your legal department that will clearly show you where Cess is being charged and how they even need to apply this Cess. The question is, does the county government do that? Another legal provision that also deters county governments from distorting economy or the movement of goods from one area to the other is section 209 of the Constitution that says that when you're going to impose any revenue raising measure, including fees and charges, that you cannot disrupt the economy or the mobility of goods and services. Now you tell me, is Cess helping in any way, especially the way they're charging? They're disrupting the economy and the mobility of goods and services. So you have legal provisions that actually deter county governments from passing some of these fees and charges, especially if they are going against the Constitution. We looked at the County Finance Acts. You can see Nakuru Finance Act. They're charging some of those cess, 20 cents per kilo. They're charging the trucks entering. So you can see they're already disrupting the mobility of goods. And His Excellency, the President, was very passionate about this issue, especially when he was the Deputy President, to an extent that he actually commissioned a task force to look at the movement of goods from one area to the other. Because traders kept complaining that we are being charged. Our flowers cannot get to the airport on time. They have to open it, they disrupt it. And that is why we really took an interest and have a whole paper on Cess, which I'm sure you already looked at. But these are the kind of things that I can tell you disrupts the mobility of goods from one place to the other. Okay, continuing. Some you can see Vihiga, Meru, Nakuru. These are the court decisions, but I just want to lay emphasis on one particular, the best titanium one, which says Article 209, the Constitution grants the county governments the right to impose tax, and it is authorized, or one that is authorized by an act of parliament, as opposed to an act of the county government that authorizes the county government to make a levy of cess charge on transportation of goods into the country. The court's decision, which was in 2018, that the ownership of the resource and the constitutional allocation of the function as a guiding principle for charging cess or levies by county government, because agriculture is a devolved function, so you have the right. However, national legislation will prevail if it applies uniformly throughout the country. So if this particular issue of cess is affecting the country uniformly, then national legislation, that's where the position paper came in. The AG needs to provide clarification on how county governments are going to charge cess. And that is one of the way forwards in the position paper, that we get a legal interpretation or a legal document or a legislation that is able to clearly say, these are the things that you charge cess, these are the amounts that the cess will be charged, and for this particular goods, this is what is expected to go back to the development of the county infrastructure so as to justify or rationalize the charging of cess. So you reflect and ask yourself, do charges for service include fee based on the price of goods? Are you going to charge it because, and I've seen you've just done that when you're showing us 90 kilos is this amount, you know, it's like a sales tax. It's no longer an issue to do with cess. As I said, cess is for the infrastructure purely, not just because you have got goods and you want to sell them from one market to the other. Again, you ask yourself, Do charges for service include fees of extraction of natural resources, sand, stone? What are those? Are those natural resources? Are they part of the Minerals Act? Again, how do you charge cess on that one? Or is it a royalty? And then finally, can county governments charge for the use of roads that they maintain? And how many roads do they maintain? Just recently, we are in court with Parliament because they have excluded the counties from benefiting from the road maintenance and levies fund. They just said no, counties cannot be beneficiaries of this fund. However, you know the constitution says that roads are a concurrent function. Okay, how you classify them as a national government shall react. But because there's a fund that is attached to the road, you must give county governments a bit of that money. So we are still trying to, in this space of devolution, understand how far the county governments can go, how far the national government can go. Sometimes the county government goes over and above, and that's why that question is there. Can county charge cess as a tax? And the answer, of course, is no. If you're charging it, it must be commensurate to a service that you're providing, not as a tax. Okay. So as you can see, I've reiterated again, the purpose of cess is market accessibility to fetch the highest amount of money. It has got nothing to do with the produce that you've got from your farm. Okay. And it's important for that clarity so that moving forward, we stop confusing advertisement, sales of goods, access to the market with cess, so that we know from the beginning what is expected in terms of when you charge cess. And this was already covered by the consultant that before the pre-constitution, before the constitution, local authority would charge cess at 80%. The cess would be divided this way so that the county governments can be able to maintain the roads. So what are the challenges so far? We are saying there's the lack of harmonization, which is one of the things we want. Slow progress in enacting or operationalizing effective and legal policies, loss of revenue, payment of inter-county fees and licenses based on different units of measures. Is it per kilo? Is it per ton? Limited understanding of the cost of revenue administration, making it difficult for counties to ensure efficiency in collecting it. Again, how much money does the county use to collect cess? Is it more than what they are collecting? Does it make sense? Because if you're paying people more money to collect a little amount of money, then do away with it, because at the end of the day, it becomes a cost that the county government is incurring. The multiplicity of taxes, and then the different counties adapt different unit measures for levying the fees. As I said, cess accounts for a very small amount of money in the county government's revenue. And if the county government understands this, then they will start looking for the low-hanging fruits like property rates and taxes, and as opposed to spending a lot of time on cess. Because in the financial year 2017, 16, 17, what was collected by the counties was 1.2 billion. All the 47 counties, equivalent to 3.5% of the aggregate on-source revenue. In 2015-16, they collected 1.2 billion, which was equivalent to 3.6 of the total OSR. And this includes 106 million that was collected by the Coffee Cess and the Kenya Roads Board. Remember, the Kenya Roads Board also, in their process of trying to ensure that the roads are properly done, they also charge the tolls on the way, you know, the tracks when they're passing. In general, low cess collection may be an indicative of leakage of poor compliance, especially given that the levy's weak connection with specific service. It may also signify negative yields resulting from the high administration cost. So the bottom line is you must do a cost-benefit analysis. If you are paying more to administer cess than what you're collecting, then you have absolutely no justification or rationale to charge the cess. You're just charging the county a lot of money, and that will go into denying other services for the residents in the counties. I can't repeat this more, that the road infrastructure used for transport for this produce is under the national government. 90% of the roads that you're charging cess on is national government, maintained by national government. So your rationale of charging cess in the national government highway is completely unjustifiable. So this is the recommendation of the task force. As I told you that there was a task force that came together. It was an agreed position between national government and county governments because this task force ran for about 2 years. And this is one of the recommendations when it came to agricultural producers. And you can check it to the bank because this was adopted by both levels of government. County governments wishing to impose Cess should, one, develop supportive legislative framework. We have already identified that it is a uniform cutting across everywhere. So because it's a uniform legislation, national government would be able to see because they have a fiscal IBANs policy of all the county governments, right? Come up with a policy that a legislation that all the county governments can agree to when it comes to Cess. The legislative framework should clearly indicate that Cess is meant for what? Infrastructure development, and the percentage of Cess to be plowed back into the sector. So the percentage that you plow back in the livestock sector, the percentage that you plow back in the agriculture sector, in the coffee sector is totally different. But at least you should have those percentages in that legislation so that it's enforceable. From which it is generated. In general, this policy discourages the imposition of excess except where its imposition, one, is applicable only to agricultural produce, including livestock and fisheries. Two, is done at the source. And three, projected revenues exceed what? Administrative cost. Because if it does not, there's no point of charging it. Okay. So the way forward, as I said, and we are working with ASNET, is to try and get the attorney to come together with us and develop that policy and that, I mean, especially the legal instrument. But, you know, policy has to go over and the position paper will provide the policy gaps, which now will inform the legislative instrument that is talking about Cess. Because we need to put this issue to bed for the last time. We can't keep discussing Cess and having different interpretation, having different views about Cess, charging Cess as advertisement fee, charging Cess in the market. It is not right. I don't know if I'm able to show that because that's the end of my presentation, but I just wanted to share with you one of the ways that we charge market access fee. And I don't know if this can be used in the screen. It can't. Anyway, just try and see if you can put the numbers down. So one of the things that we have done here is that we have identified certain services that the county governments incur when they're providing market access. And those services cut across firefighting, cleaning the market, administrative cost, cost of water, cost of electricity, and cost of building abolition blocks. So all those, and we used sample as an example. So the data that we used was realistic data from Meru County. And Meru County gave us the cost of building the market because they were very new in that area. And we depreciated it along 10 years. Then we got the cost of providing service like firefighting trucks, the cost of the fuel, the cost of purchasing the firefighting truck, the cost of building the abolition block, and the cost of cleaning the market, and the cost of electricity. So we divided the costs into two. The first cost was the fixed costs. And in this term, fixed is not in the accounting words. Fixed is like the cost that you will incur, for example, salaries every year, because that is one thing you will incur in terms of administrative costs to run the markets. And the variable costs we looked at was like fuel or the electricity, because those ones depend on usage. And so we calculated and added all these costs together. Then we looked at the number of space in Meru County that markets are in, and we divided with this particular amount. So at the end of the day, we found that for you to access a 10 by 10 space in a market, irrespective of whether it is in a building or whether it is on the open air, we would charge you 4,000 shillings per year. Okay. And that was very clear because then they had a rationale of going to the county assembly and saying that the basis of providing access to the market is 4,000 for a 10 by 10. Now you as the county assembly, go and do your public participation and come back and tell us if that is a good amount, or you want to add it, or you want to reduce it. But at least they have a starting point of being informed when they are going to the public to ask for that amount of money. Because they will say, these are the services we are providing. You have security, you have light, you have an ablution block, you have toilet. And the resident can come back and
Any questions here? Thank you.
My name is Julius Mwebia. I am from the Rakanidi County, the chair of ASNET. I wanted to give some real life experiences to bring home some of the things that have been highlighted there. 1 year ago, I retired from the Ministry of Agriculture some years back and I wanted to go to agribusiness, and I started an agrovet. And 1 year ago, one of the people who are coming out as a distributors for the region came to me and told me I want to grow to distributorship. And I gave an order to her. And then she brought the first consignment. And while I was away, she called me and told me her car has been clamped, delivering goods to my agrovet. And she was required to pay 60,000 because that's the fee for distribution in the Rakanidi for the car to be released and what be allowed to be bringing goods to my county for the rest of the year. Well, she paid the levy, she paid the amount, but she never came back. She shrunk back to selling over the counter. I want you to imagine the kind of business we lost and the kind of employment we lost because maybe today she could be doing business to 5-10 counties, employing a lot of people, drivers, and so unloaders and offloaders and so on and so forth. And then I also 1 year ago, 2 years ago, I decided to go into again into manufacturing, doing ungas. And I can tell you as I stand here today, I have thought many times, I have thought of closing the business. If it were not for the investment I have done in my industry, I would actually close it down because it's giving me nothing other than paying the levies. And I remember somebody I was also encouraged to do some industry because we felt this is the best way to go for the country to grow. They say for every industry you do, you create more jobs than just buying and selling. And this person came back and told me, if I knew what I know now, I would have not started this journey. For me, just to give you a picture of what I go through, for every bag I buy, I must pay a levy of 50 shillings. When I go to manufacture, I am supposed to pay a levy of 60,000 to manufacture. And then in the same county, I'm supposed to pay 60,000 to distribute. And then from there, I am supposed to pay like now one product I developed costed me 1 to 4,000 through caps. And then from there, the public health people come, and for every individual employee, I must do a certificate for them that costs me 800. And from there, if I write something on my shop, on my whatever, and then there must be a levy for that.
It's a very interesting story.
And then
And I'm trying to catch your eye.
yes,
Because of interest of time, can you condense?
yes, and then
It's a very interesting
I'm
story.
actually finishing. And if I brought my car, I must pay for that. If I write a business name, then I must pay for it. And then for any signboard I put on the road, I must pay for it. And of course, and then beyond that, now Kenya Power comes and takes the rest, and I remain with nothing. The best I can do is pay my employers, and sometimes that's what I can tell you. I get
Thank
nothing
you
for nothing.
very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you
That's
so
a very
much.
practical example of what
Yes.
happens on the ground. And I think Ben would be very keen to answer that question. But I'm going to take one more question.
But my question before I close, please,
As long as you're very explicit.
just
because
one
now
statement,
we have to be sensitive
one
to time.
statement. We talk a lot and no action. I want to ask this question. After this, are we taking action or are we just talking and then we come back and talk?
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Can I have one more question on this end? Yes, good. And then over there,
Thanks.
that's the first round of questions. And please let us know who you're putting the question.
So mine is addressed to Sheila. Very wonderful and very good content, especially when it's put this way. Cess is charged at source, not on transit, and Cess is on goods that are on their way to export. So I'm a grower and an exporter. But what is happening on the ground, it is so very different. From Laikipia, we're bringing in our flowers and we are harassed every day of our lives. So we have left that case to Kenya Flower Council because, I mean, it's difficult to do business. And the question then is, if this is or are only sweet words, and as a business, what we know is that we pay Cess to Horticultural Crops Directorate. And as far as we are concerned, then from an export angle, that is taken care of as exporters. When it comes on the ground, we don't have a problem with paying at source. But do you know how many counties they are from Laikipia up to Nairobi? We need your help. Otherwise, we're going to question. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We had one more question so that we don't load the panel with too many questions.
Okay.
I'll take yours as well. You're quite capable.
Oscar Ngasi representing the PS Livestock. In Kenya, I know we have 48 governments and the national and the county. My question is to the lady on policy. How can we harmonize, especially the issue of Cess, even in livestock, have so that the counties can have like same rates? Like if you, let's take cattle. Cattle, if you want to transport it, each county, they charge different. Can we have a policy so that we can have one across the country?
Last question.
Thank you very much, Nehemiah Odongo, Asnet Chair, Kisumu. But I think what I want to say is mostly captured, but I want to summarize it.
Very briefly, please.
Just very brief always. One issue is, can we really pick the issue of fee being paid at source? All our fees to be paid at source. If I'm trading in Kisumu and I've paid for advertisement, can it be a policy in Kenya whereby I can have my vehicle drive it to Mombasa? If I've paid to bring goods, can I be able to deliver it in Kisumu without being asked for the extra fee? Because it's all of it going to the center.
I think that's very clear. And can I start with Ben? Because Ben has to travel. Let him answer the questions that you have put to him, and then we allow him to leave.
Thank you very much. Yes, I have to leave, but I have to address these questions. I think number one is we are talking about agriculture produce Cess and other market-related levies. Let us not get into the muddle of the taxation system in Kenya because we'll get lost with opposition paper. So I like the evidence from Tarakanidi. Let me start from there. I like the evidence that you bring in, and this is confirms that over 50% of the price of a commodity of a finished product that comes to the table is out of distribution costs that would be either landing fees, police bribes, and all that. And that is basically why we are here to address this matter. Talk a lot, no action. I'm sure Agatha is raring to answer that question. But where we are now, we've never gotten before. The private sector sat, brought up these issues. Public sector sat, brought these issues. And now we are on a national dialogue where we are calling the government of Kenya for action. And what are we asking them to do? Is to harmonize and provide a policy that harmonizes this determination, formula, and all that. So we are somewhere, and I'm sure Sheila will really be able to elaborate on that. In terms of that, the amount of Cess that is collected is quite small. Should the county abolish it? It came from my brother Patrick. By the way, it may not be as small as the data provides. We have data of 1%, 5%, 3.5%, and all that, and got that data. But it could be more significant than it is. But because of the leakages and the informality and the uncoordinatedness, then it becomes very difficult to actually ascertain. We agree, we believe that it is significant in a way that if plowed back to county, it can build infrastructure development. And that's the point we are saying. Once it's harmonized, there's a clear formula, there's who does it, under what process, under what law, and it can be enforced in a way that is meaningful so that there's benefits to the taxpayer. And I think, I think I've gone through all the questions, and maybe I will pass the baton to Sheila.
Thank you very much. I will respond to 3 issues. The first one is the ignorance that is feigned by the county government. The county government has a department, a legal department, and the law is the same. When I read the constitution here, it doesn't change when you go to another county. The question is, why do they choose to ignore? Because they have not seen the cost. Mombasa chose to ignore. They were told to pay back over 1 billion to base titanium on Cess. In that case, I was telling you. So when you go to court and put them to test, trust me, they will not ignore. But because nobody has decided to take them to court and test them, they continue doing what they're doing. After all, you are Kenyans and you don't mind paying these fees and charges, irrespective of how illegal some of them may look like. But we do capacity building. Last year, we finished a training for 47 county members of county assembly, including the chairs of the finance committees, insisting that next time these fees are brought to them, there is a legal basis, because they have the role and responsibility of passing legislation in the county government. They cannot purport to use finance acts as the basis of charging levies. They need a market access act. They need a single business trade act so that they can have basis. But the finance bill, if the finance bill is only used to alter charges. So we keep educating them. And as I said, our role is to capacity build. And we've just come up with a tariff and pricing policy that might put an end to what my the participant was talking about, the multiplicity and duplicity of charges. We launched it last week, and we expect to, we did a stakeholder validation last week, and we expect to launch it on the 23rd of January. So please keep, checking the news. On the issue of the Cess policy, I've just given you a snapshot of the national policy on enhancement of revenue. It already gave policy direction on Cess, or was I talking to myself? When I said the first thing is that it should be applied to what? Agriculture products. And I said the second thing, it must be charged at source. And I said the third thing was that it is, if the administrative costs seem higher than what you're collecting, then do not charge it. We already gave policy direction as a government. However, I understand that you want to go further than that. And that's why I appreciate Ben, because his position paper will identify the continuous gaps that we see in this area of agricultural produces and market levies. Based on those gaps that have been identified, it is important that whoever carries on this process comes up with a policy on Cess, okay, specific to the sector, so that you have addressed everything. When you say agriculture, what do you mean that Cess will be charged? It is only on products that are exported, okay, and not advertisement of seed, so that you're clear from the onset. And then we bring the Attorney General in to now give us an enforcement instrument, which is a legal instrument that can be applied uniformly across the 47 counties, thereby stopping county governments from charging multiplicity and duplicity of charges. Thank you very much.
Very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Although I was not, I have not actively participated, I just would want to make some comments on these issues. The question number one, regarding the scrapping of the Cess, I think we need to refer to Article 209 of the Constitution, which empowers the Parliament and any other legislative body to legislate on law that empowers them to raise revenue. At the moment, maybe probably I need to make an introduction. Where I come from. I come from IGRTC, a member or commissioner at that level. On Monday, we were at the State House carrying out the function on transfer or regarding transfer of functions. And one of the clear things is that the county governments must also become independent in terms of collection of funds, own source revenue as per Article 209. Now, at IGRTC, what we have done, or rather what we do, we have looked at Article 4, or Schedule 4 of the Constitution, to look at the functions that are supposed to be done or performed by the county government. Now, Article 4.2 shows functions, including agriculture, that have gone down to the county government, and I believe that is the basis on which we are here today. As we look at what goes down, we also have looked at IGRTC, including the legal team that we constituted and coordinated. That was the Attorney General. That is why I would want to mention that in reference to what the director has mentioned. We brought the Attorney General on board. We brought on board COG, the lawyers from IGRTC, Kenya Law Reforms, and we also brought in the constitutional lawyers to look into law that can hinder the movement of function of agriculture from national government to the county government, to make sure that whatever county governments are supposed to do, and now national governments are doing, the national governments are told to keep off, give the monies to the counties to perform those functions, give the assets to the counties to perform those functions. So that is what we are doing, and that is where we are, and that's what we were addressing on Monday. And I may even tell you that what is remaining is we already have an omnibus. We have a legal notice already developed by the lawyers from all who matter in the Republic. And that was meant to realign all the laws, including the ones in agriculture, including the ones in the county government, anywhere, to realign them with the Constitution, so that whatever comes out of it and the policies that will come out of them will not be challenged, but they will make sure that they move to ensure the working of Article 6 and 189 of the Constitution. That is harmonization of the national government and the county government as they perform function. And therefore, this one comes now to give answers to, are we only saying here and there is no implementation? The answer is, what you are concerned is here is already taken care of. What the proposal of the presenter here is already going to be taken care of. And probably when I will be giving a talk, we will be asking you as stakeholders to take part in that final end when we are going to ensure that the legal notice comes on board and is all inclusive, and it encompasses or it carries everybody on board, because we are working for Kenya. There is no, there's the same person, whether you are the national government, you work only for that person at the bottom. Whether you are the county government, you work as that person on at the bottom. So all that harmonization is coming soon. We were given, as IGRTC, to coordinate that function, we were given 60 days. And I'm sure I can tell you, we should be able to do that before 45 days. So what it remains is formalization, and I think I will end, but we will give a talk on that. So the issue of saying that we can scrap Cess which is only an allocation, an allotment for county government as a way of raising their own means of developing the roads that I also assist in delivery of this. It is not likely to be possible. So then when we come to the area of overtaxation, like my friend here was saying, that the commodities have become very expensive because of this and this, you know, you will participate. You will be there. You will be there. It will be public participation. And everybody will be talking on what kind of sales fees is necessary to ensure the country moves forward and that the business goes on. Because we also must take care of employment. We must ensure that the business people are on board, they are not going under. So now issue of overtaxation may be addressed there. And then you look at the issue of sales at the source. They are actually addressed in that legal that you are going to participate on. The laws involved, any law that it violates the constitution will be null and void. Whether it was there before constitution or it has come, or even if we sing here and come up with another law that will be against the constitution, it will be cancelled and will be repealed. So we are going to have refused. So what I'm trying to do is to give you comfort that we are there. We are just about to be there.
Very much. I think, ladies and gentlemen, this has been monumental. For those of us who have been in this discussion for years, I think this is really monumental. We have private sector, have this resource available to us. And if we don't make the difference, if we don't make the change now, we have only held the thing because we can hear the government are working and our consultants are available, but we must not relent, pursue that which we are very concerned about under the umbrella aspect. Whenever we are needed, I comment, participate in deliberations, and when we talk about public participation, let us participate. Don't give us a notice the day before, and then we are not to participate objectively and effectively. So thank you very much to our presenters this morning. I know we have rushed you, but you must catch up with time so that we can also look at the other elements this morning. And I would like to request a thank you clap to the presenters here. I don't know how you want us to fit, but I'm not very good at this one.
Probably was. I think you just translate, no, best things are done simply. So we're just going to give them some 3 hearty claps as a mark of appreciation for the very good job that they've done. 1, 2, 3. Thank you so much.
Break for tea break, health break, and allow us to be back in 15 minutes. You can come back with your cup of tea so that we can advance the rest of the discussion. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. 15 minutes, please. Hey.
decision of the transfer of these functions, we shall be gone to the Ministry of Agriculture. We tell them you have occupied this big building for a very long time. And these functions, much of them have moved down to the counties. The staff are here with you in hundreds, and they must move together with the functions to the county. The county. These monies you have enjoyed in the budget here are going to move over to the county. And how many people do you want to be helped with? Because according to what we are supposed to do, for example, is national policy. How many people do you need? Let me say that. Out of how many? 900. Do we need a policy there? The answer is so consultation, coordination. And that is the reason why I say that even as this law, as the review of law was done to transfer the policies, ITRPC involved everyone. Attorney General. So it is not an issue of Attorney General changing the law. Because Attorney General has already participated in changing. Kenya law reform was before. We have also before lawyers from the office of the president, where my friend comes from. All who matters in terms of law that goes against transfer of functions, that goes against what needs to be done, have all been received. But we expect that after we have done this and we have transferred the function, there will be a change in the policy to address the future problems that might come. We expect that. And therefore, your work is not stopping here. Our work is not stopping here. Actually, there is a lot of work. So that was just a mention of what we do and a part of the production of ITRTC. Now, how do we contribute to the issue of the area of Cess? Among us, the areas of default function, like I mentioned, we have agriculture. Cess, according to Article 209, the way I mentioned here, Article 209 empowers Parliament, National, Senate, counties to come up with legislation on how they will raise revenue. So you look at Article 209, the representative of CRA give us the indication, yes, all those that must be collected from by the county government are named with them. And the ones that have for the national government are there. The question is, do we have an option? No. What is a tax? We can also look at the definition of a tax. It is an imposed level. So whether it's at the county level or at the national level, it is imposed. And why is it imposed? It is because government must raise revenue so that it is able, the government is able to offer public service. Whether it is in terms of road, it is said, you have to levy a cess, and here our document of transfer fees levy says will be imposed at the point of origin. So the county of origin is the one that will impose that. And then the transfer of these items to the other markets will be free. When that one is enacted, when you have come and participated and we have agreed that all that legal offices put in place, we have an omnibus standing there, that will be official position. And therefore, a number of these questions that are coming around is like they are getting addressed nationally. The government is keen to do that. And that is why, for example, the idea of having a consultant is very well researched because you cannot come up with the policies when you don't understand the problem and how you develop the recommendations on how you feel. Therefore, the researchers, private organizations must come on board and help institutions like this to create a forum like this where we are able to disseminate information that will go a long way to give people comfort and by telling them the real truth what needs to be done. Just on Monday, by the way, while we were there, the European Union signed a contract, an agreement with the Kenya on trade. And so it is important for the farmers, it's the farmers here. We have countries, counting and written it has to be your marks with all the countries. And those ones are basically for processing, value addition of each product. It enhances agriculture greatly. Whether it is macadamia you are doing, whether it is sugarcane, whatever you are doing, you can add value. And now that agreement was open market, duty free to the European Union, as long as you maintain the quality. And one of the things that they said was that this agreement would include them providing an infrastructure for you to value for value addition, meaning you have not been said to tell you that, but I'm not mentioned because it all comes here. So what does that mean? It means here in agriculture we are enhanced, and therefore the sales, which is can also be a very critical money revenue out of the country, needs to be enhanced, other than thinking of how it can be scrapped. How this need to collect money. Where economies are doing very well, how this supports national government. It is a difference of what we have here. And one time it is likely to happen that they have to collect so much and it has excesses to donate to another county, starting from there. And then later on to donate to the national government. How does that happen when you have given yourself? All you have to do is develop, like you are saying, on implementation, policies, guiding the costing, guiding transportation, guiding who should be charged, and all that. That is why we want to rely on minds. People come together from different areas, talk of problems, they develop policies to guide, for example. So, to give you comfort that the law that has changed, or that is expected to change, issues and areas around transfer of action, including Cess, the coming up with the policies have been developed by all who matter in the county. Ever, county government, national government, office of the president, attorney general, fiscal reforms were all. So be assured, taken care of. Now, I am not going to take much time because I asked to be given a chance to do a presentation early in the morning. I have the rest of my commissioners in Stamos developing a document, and I'm required to join you.
So I would just say in conclusion, IGRTC will be honored to work with the stakeholders here in ensuring that the issue on Cess and market levels is well provided for in the legislation in order to enhance harmonization in the intergovernmental relations. So IGRTC also wishes to thank ASNET and the stakeholders for continued partnership and support, and looks forward to working together with you with the aim of achieving the objects of the default system of governance. Thank you.
We're really going to do the part of this. At the end of the day, we shall really be able to, in terms of the issues that are applicable our work with agriculture. And we're very happy to see the support of our team, and also the continued support with what we are doing process. So allow me to invite our next speaker, who will be ready.
Good afternoon. Once more, ladies and gentlemen. As I introduced myself in the morning, it was Robert Blakey. Working for Cess. This is the President's Economic Transformation Study, which was established as part of Executive Order 2020, number 1 of 2023, part of the organization of government. I also have said that we've been working very closely as with regard to this issue of the produces and the babies. We've attended quite a number of functions as harassment, and also we've worked together to organize some of those functions. So I would say that it is something that we are really committed in. And by way of the function of PEX is that our main mandate is to support the government with the implementation of the plan, which is essentially the better, the bottom-up economic transformation agenda. And we do that by working very closely with the stakeholders in all areas to ensure that we realize the implementation of the plan. And also we want to support the government into the one government approach. And I would say that as a government, we really committed to resolving this issue, this sense, because that is the only way we can realize the promise or commitments that we put as part of what we want to deliver as part of the plan. And briefly, I will say
what our plan is all about. Essentially, the key objective of the plan is to help create jobs and grow incomes. And with that is we know where we're coming from, current status, where we have quite a lot of challenges in terms of high interest rates, very strong dollar. We're talking about supply shocks because of COVID, Ukraine Russia war, the recent Israel-Hamas issues, they will affect us. Then we are faced with the challenges of capital flight from these frontier markets. And also, there's a bigger challenge in terms of physical issues, where we have very high debt obligation against relatively low revenue base. Then this gives us very low headroom for the child service, then which comes with quite a number of challenges. And then, as you're aware, we have challenges in terms of employment, poverty, and inequality. So for us to be able to deliver this, the government has identified key things that we want to deliver on. And top of an agenda is reducing the cost of living. And then we want to create jobs. We want to expand the revenue base. We want to improve the foreign exchange balance and overall inclusive growth. We want to improve on the competitiveness. And we want to at least ensure that it is easy to do business within the country. And then for us to be able to deliver on that, the government identified 5 key things that will directly impact these deliverables. And top of an agenda is the area that you participate in, that is agriculture. And what we want to do in agriculture is we want to be food secure, that is pillar number 1. Pillar number 2, we want to reduce imports. And then pillar number 3 is we want to increase exports. Then the other priority area is the MSME. There's quite a lot of interventions that are interested in that area, which clearly applies to MSMEs in your space. We are talking about access to market. We are talking about ease of doing business. And then we're talking about access to finance. And the other 3, we're talking about housing, which has potential to substantially create jobs and also provide affordable housing. It's also the digital and creative economy, where we find that with the current technology is an area that is quickly coming up to support employment. Then we would want to have a healthy population. And the plan says that by the end of the plan period, we should be able to put in place universal health coverage. Therefore, you can see in the plan there are 2 key areas that we really want to deliver on. We want to deliver on the reduce of the cost of living. We want to improve the business environment so that at least it is possible for one to be able to do business. So that is by looking at the licensing, looking at the sales and levies, So you can see that directly, as part of the plan, the government really has to come in and support this issue to ensure that we deliver on some of the promises. I would say that there is quite a lot of commitment by most of the stakeholders that we've engaged in. I can support IDRTC that during the Monday engagement at the summit, there was commitment by both levels of government as been expounded. And then I would say that in terms of the multiple licenses for that the national government and the county government, I know there are some initiatives that are coming up. We are working very closely with the State Department for Trade, also State Department for MSMEs. And I know early next year there will be an engagement of stakeholders just to look at some of those issues regarding the multiple taxes. I think some discussions have started. I know the other week there was an engagement in Russia with the county technical teams to really start the process. It's something that is coming up. So what I want to say by conclusion is that the government is really committed into having this issue of Cess resolved. Thank you so much.
Really, every speaker who has come up here, the one thing that is very evident is that we are speaking the same language, private sector and government. For the very first season, this is not the first time, but this is the first season where private sector is really this and the popular issues. So thank you very much, Moridi, for the support that we have also received from the office. And because we're getting that hour, I will take this moment now to invite the level who is representing PS the Bulldog. Principal Secretary of the Department. And good afternoon. It's a
So good afternoon once again, colleagues. I am happy to meet you today. And everyone is working, so I don't know the best 6 months I couldn't, am I committed? You don't have money to go for holidays, or you are very much committed to? Anyone with an answer? You're committed. Thank you very much. I'm glad to hear that. All right, so thank you very much. My name is Odero Jeffrey, as I mentioned. I am here today representing my big boss, Mr. Alfred Mobudo, who is the Principal Secretary for the State Department for Trade. First of all, let me begin by conveying his apology. He would have liked to be here, but due to prior commitments, he is still also working and driving the better transformation agenda. The good thing of speaking, may I change? So it's not well. The good thing of speaking almost last is because everything has been said. So I won't repeat much, but I'd highlight just a few remarks that the PS wanted to share with you. As we know, we really need to transform our economy. So there's a risky balance between how to generate that revenue and at the same time still not, stifle businesses or undermine the purchasing power of the common citizen. So this is why the department is very pleased with this dialogue This is a conversation that we need to have, and I'm hoping at the end of our meeting today, we have a roadmap of what are we going to do next, what is the next course of action. As one participant said, that they are worried that this could be just talks. I believe things have changed, and you see, the new administration is very committed. Whatever proposals that we bring, we receive from the private sector is often acted on. So speaking of the same, the issue of multiple taxation or multiple levies is a genuine concern, and the department is aware of it. As a matter of fact, I have with me here a document that we've been working on as early as 2021. And one of the objectives that we have in developing this is called the National Trade Licensing Guidelines. So we wanted to go beyond just the scope of Cess, but also other licenses that are charged by several agencies. So this is still an internal working document, and in the course of time, we'll be inviting you stakeholders also to share with you the draft what we have in mind and how we can improve it and take it forward. So one of the proposed purpose of the guidelines were to provide uniform standards to be applied by national and county governments and agencies responsible for issuance and administration of trade-related licenses. It also calls for collaboration and coordination between the different levels of government, and where possible, harmonization of license procedures by national and county governments. The key objective here is we want to have, a predictable and efficiency in the issuance and administration of trade and related licenses, and also to facilitate domestic and international trade. So going forward, as I said, much has been said, and we share in thought many issues that have been raised here. I think what we need now is to work together and put our heads together. Do we go for guidelines? Do we institute, a national policy? Do we take a regulatory approach? Or do we just pursue, administrative convergence? Some things you don't have to wait for laws to happen. The county governments and national governments can actually sit together because it's still within their mandate. So there are several issues that we can pursue so long as we engage and agree on a common way forward. So just to summarize, I want to mention that in 2020, the National Development Implementation and Communication Cabinet Committee, NEICC, and the Council of Governments held a forum in February 2020 that passed a resolution for the constitution of a multi-agency technical committee spearheaded by the Ministry of Trade. So this was to generate an agreement geared towards addressing the perennial challenge. The draft agreement was developed, but hasn't been signed. So I'm saying there's something that has been done. I think I have a copy, I don't know, our colleagues also have a copy of that draft, but it was not signed. We can look at that. I've had the pleasure of interacting with other governments. Let's look at what has happened elsewhere. For instance, if you look at the USA, they normally operate that Kenya has several regulatory agencies that have different but related issues. But this is the same in many countries. So the question of the US, what do they have? They have, for instance, the USDA, the US Department for Agriculture, and the Food and Drug Administration. They normally develop memoranda of understanding or memoranda of cooperation. How, if you're doing a similar role, they're slightly different, but they are related. How do we handle this in a manner that does not, restrict trade or does not impede the efficiency of our systems? So that is one approach also that we can propose. So going forward, there's a need for concerted efforts by the national and county governments to develop a framework for elimination and harmonization of these levies in order to enhance business and economic growth across the country. There's also a need to adopt and enact legislation for national recognition of permits issued at the county level, vehicle branding licenses and fees, as well as recognition and distribution of licenses to enable full movement of goods across the country. And there's also a need to revise and enhance the national policy to support enhancement of county government's council's revenue. We've been told there's a policy on that. So our view, where we stand, is that there's a need to look at it, what can be improved on what we have right now. We also be requesting the county governments to put in place, proper tax administration processes and automation So that instead of just looking at this as the easy target, there are so many areas, as has been mentioned, where there could be tax leakages that they can bring from. Finally, pursuant to Articles 185(2) and 2010 of the Constitution, and Section 132 of the PFM Act, county governments ought to develop principal revenue legislation and policies to provide a legal basis for their taxes, fees, and charges. There's also need to fast track the enactment of the county government revenue raising process bill 2018. So these are just some of the thoughts that we have for the department. But in general terms, I'm very happy with the meeting here. I'd like to thank the organizers, ASME, and we'll be looking forward to working with you. Let us prioritize this as one of the key deliverables the next year. Thank you very much.
Now that it's been final chapter in this long journey of having a great on, where do we go from here? And it's a pleasure to invite with one of our team members of technical having had the master class based on please be very transparent with the idea where we very often complain about quality of public participation. But here we have the flow. Everything that we need. Thanks very much. Before you invite your speaker, I will send my ideas. And I believe that yes, there are here where we can also send you up.
Good afternoon, everyone. I always find myself a bit loud and yeah, my name is Sylvia Mondi from the State Department for Devolution. If I fail to do this formally, next time my PS might not be invited. And organizers, when you invite the children, it's always important to remember the map. I was raising my hand specifically because when IGRTC stands to talk, somebody assumes devolution is okay. IGRTC is one of our children. And if I don't do this, somebody will say, what are you there? So devolution was here, and I know you know many things. When you don't know many things, perhaps somebody is wondering what is devolution about. But I don't want to take you back there. one of the things I want to say is, as I listen to this debate, given that today is my first day to be here, there is a lot of thinking and a lot of desire to make sure that something is changing and in the agriculture sector. So you have talked of, we want to see this, you want to see the other. And the message I was sent with by my peers is, tell them that devolution is incentivizing the counties to do the right thing. I've heard a lot about leakages, and those leakages, it's human nature to allow them, because when there are leakages, this is Kenya, somebody will be eating. But as devolution, we have realized that in the spirit of collaboration and coordination, we cannot start from the platform here and tell the counties, stop doing this. We can't tell the governments, put this structure in place and give timelines and deadlines. So from where we sit at devolution, what we have done is that making devolution work, we have moved out of structures, which is what we did, and what we call the Kenya Devolution Support Program 1. You have heard of it? Let me see the show hand. How many heard of KDSP? Yes, the program ended in 2021, and I'm announcing here on behalf of my peers that 2023 we are coming, 2024 we are coming back, because the World Bank has already approved our KDSP2. And what is important for this forum is that KDSP2, we are no longer putting in place structures, because we put in place structures. Counties understand what they need to do. But now we are saying that we want to reward counties for doing the right thing. That means that we are giving counties money, but this money is dependent on results that we see. As we talk about Cess, from devolution, we are saying that when we roll out the KDSP 2, one of the areas we want to see performance is, what are you doing about enhancing your own source revenue? And one of the things we are saying is automation. You cannot continue collecting money the way you collect, because the leakages are there. So we are saying that we will be awarding counties when they do this. So that is what I'm saying. We are incentivizing counties to make devolution work and seal some of these loopholes, because that is why we find that we still have challenges. Automation, we are also extending automation too, because we are talking about Cess and saying, somebody was saying moving from Laikipia to Nairobi. We are also saying that we are automating the alternative dispute resolution system. We would like to make sure that there is a system in place that can, at the touch of a button, tell how many disputes are happening, how they are being resolved, and that way we are going to be doing something about what we call knowledge management. The national policy is already launched with the support of the National Treasury, who are the custodians, and we are saying that with this automation of the dispute resolution, which is supposed to be the responsibility of our baby IGRTC, being high still here, as much as Dr. has left, we are saying that as a devolution, our work is to put structures to make devolution work. So that is a bit we are automating, and is important. And last but most important, devolution has one role, which is coordination of public participation. The question came in, or the report said that public participation has not been done well. It was rumored to be done, but it was not done. I want to let you know that the policy was finally passed, public participation policy, in conjunction with the Office of the Attorney General. The bill is in Parliament, and We are hoping in the coming year we are going to be rolling out this policy. So as you go back to your places where you do what you do, you need to remember that one of the things we need to do right, public participation is not, it's not something that you do as a favor. It's an order, it is in law, and we are working with the counties to make sure that the policies are put in place and to make sure that all the counties can adopt the policy to their needs. And so when it comes to even the issues you are discussing here, and our KPSP, two, the third very important key result area is about accountability. And we will be awarding counties for showing progress on matters of public participation. So, as NET, government is working with you, and we are doing our best. I've said that we don't enforce, but we advise. Thank you very much.
Please, I can take the microphone now. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that very useful information, Livia. But it looks like it's just me between you and I. But I'll do my best. Now, when I look at this process, the way we started, it has been extremely inclusive. I remember Naivasha 1, when we started, the consultant who was here. When we were starting right from scratch, came up with a document, said, well, every long journey starts with one step. We did a good job in Naivasha 1. Then we moved to, I think it was Kempinski, where we even now widened the scope of stakeholders. Some were even on that. Then we made very good progress. We moved on to Naivasha 2. The document looked very good. We almost thought that we are ready to move forward. But we realized, no, I think we needed some serious legal input. So I think with the help of Cess, I think we got a team of lawyers, the stakeholder, to sit together and see how to advise on how we proceed. I think some aspects of it was presented here this morning. Then we came to the Ngong Hills meeting. Again, we made the document even better. And finally, we're here and means surely, I don't think we deserve another meeting. This, I agree with the sentiments mentioned here. There should be an end to this process and see how we move to the next steps. So, we already have a relatively good way forward as presented by our consultant today. That presentation, plus the comments that were made this morning with the consultant, will also be part of that report. So what we need to do now is just get some final comments from you as stakeholders in this room now. You can see now we have the evolution here. I don't think there was the evolution at the version 1, 2, PhD. So we are really happy that you're bringing in the evolution at this stage. You are a very key stakeholder. And the presentation from the Intergovernmental Relations Committee are extremely refreshing for me, because I realized that what we are doing here and some of the things you were saying, how shall we really get there, are already being discussed at an extremely high level. So I think we have done a commendable job. So for now, may I just hear the final comments from you as stakeholders so that we can capture them and see how we see. is where we have reached. So that as we hand over this baby to the Ministry of Trade, let the ministry know that this baby is extremely well fed and this baby is ready to go places. So can I start from maybe from my right here? Any comments that we need to capture in this last session? Yes, Andy, what?
Andy Watt from the Trade Association. Great presentations and really good work, guys. And great to see the government and the private sector and the various other stakeholders nicely aligned. Very good news. I have two sort of comments. One, the information that really came out, I think, from our legal colleague earlier is that multiple Cess collections are already illegal. And what we've got are road operators out there. They're illegally collecting money. But if I've got my truck full of flowers coming down from my kidney, what am I going to say to the guy with the yellow coat when he's trying to take money from me? And is there a document that could be produced from a very high level that basically says, no, this is illegal, go away? That's the question. I'm probably do something now. And then the next question is, great that things are going to be harmonized and we're going to have some legislation and things will be good, devolution, trade, pets, when?
Those are very good comments. But I think our team is taking note of all these comments so that we leave out nothing. Any other comment from this row? Good.
Thank you. Mine is more of a comment and a good purpose for us all. When they're talking about agriculture trade, they're talking about feeding each and every one of us. It's not about enhance. It's not about making food available to those away from the already geographical position. What if we talk about abolishing or doing away with the market space? On the content of, if you look at Africa where we are right now, we are pushing for an Africa free trade environment. Why don't you adopt the same mechanism within our country, whereby we enable ease of agriculture trade? And that way it will be easier to distribute food from, let's say, somewhere in Momet to get to the people in Turkana. And the same way from we maybe get this from Turkana to people in Masterville. That will also, aside from enabling markets, will also be creating jobs for these people to engage in maybe logistics and even to increase their production capacity. At the other time, it will be increasing the accessibility to food nutrition and security. So my way forward will be either to most, and the highest way forward is to push for abolition of the market center. If you are looking at, when it comes to the devolution, if you are looking at counties earning revenue from this, let us standardize and harmonize it. Packaging, let the amount be equal, or is it per vehicle? And for those who are doing like the input, let it be standardized. Let us not have different ways of allocation of the market test to be allocated. Thank you.
Good, thank you very much. Those who have seen the institutional, the institution. I will not capture those from you.
The validation is aggregate consultancy, food safety and agribusiness sustainability.
Good. That's all for this row. Oh.
Thank you. My name is Apollo Kerry from the Kenya Big Brewers Association. Mine is an issue of process. To understand based on the presentation made that there's already discussions at high level in terms of using the omnibus to make some adjustments, alignments of the various statutes. At what point then shall that converge with our policy paper that we're developing so that our input is properly captured and aligned in that process? And also considering that other statutes already specific to certain commodities their proposals to make correction of fees and levies, including Cess. So it's an issue of understanding at what point can those be harmonized, aligned to our position paper, and be able now to speak, as she said. Thank you.
Good, thank you very much. See, a lot of points coming up. Excellent. And I think we should particularly recognize the team from the counties. Even we have a chair of the accounting the board chair, the Iga County, ASNET board chair, Lawyer, ASNET board chair, Kisumu, ASNET board chair, Kakamega, Kisii, and Tarakaniti. You know, this is not what has been happening. This is extremely encouraging. And we believe really this is the way to go. So your presence here talks volume. We are happy that you are here, you are able to listen to what is being discussed here. Good, now I move on to this one. Yes.
Thank you very much. My name is Janet Masa, Chair Assets Translation. I appreciate being here and what we've been able to learn. And from Sheila's presentation, the legal framework, she opened our eyes that like the poultry farmer who is transporting eggs to Kisumu, the poultry farmer that is transporting chicken meat to Bungoma to the slaughterhouse, we have to go through that process. But she said that it's produce that is for export that should undergo Cess from the source. Is there a way that we can have a document so that we can present it to those who are asking? Because when they ask, they make it look very legal that they're collecting what they're collecting with them, including even at the police points. We have lost chicken on the road because we had to go to police. And it was only going to Bungoma. And that is a farmer's produce of just 2,000 chicken. She loses 200, that is a lot of money. So we could have a document that we could also enlighten the people on the ground on what is charged and what they don't have to pay. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Janet, the chair, Tanzania, President Board.
Yeah, thank you. I'm Charles. Yeah, my group will be like say the church from yes. And thank you so much. Yeah, I think mine would be more or less like a recommendation. No, the focus other than the very high taxes and the size and all this that we've been discussing. I think we've also touched about more around investing into the food systems. And particularly, I have a concern around our markets because to be very honest, a lot of the foods that get in our markets, 80% of the garbage we get is the food. And really, I feel like if there would be a mechanism through which some of this can be deliberately invested in, improving the infrastructure, we could also have identification in terms of how much the food will cost eventually. So I think let's be able to be a bit more deliberate and let our markets work, because really food loss and waste issues is a big concern for this country, and it has to do with all the incentives, including infrastructure investments. So that to me is something I would like to stress. Generally, the fresh and nutritious food, I think, was is more important, because as again, where we come from is we believe that accessing nutritious food in this country is way more difficult, very expensive than when you're accessing the less unhealthy foods, the less unhealthy foods that we consume as a country. And we really don't understand why getting fresh, nutritious food become more expensive than an import of highly processed food become cheap. And as you know, the implication because of the rising cases of diet-related diseases. So I think we need to extend the conversations where we have to make trade-offs. Let's see. Some of these taxes can also be used. I think the other countries have also made a lot of efforts to see if they can be able to tax a little bit, especially the super-sweetened beverages and fatty and so on, so that at least we also manage our health systems in a way. They might be able to make a trade. Basically, I think those are conversations we might have to make.
Thank you. I think that's very good aid for you to bring that up. I think aspects of food safety are actually critical. And I'm happy that some counties already have policies on food safety that they are already developing and trying to see how they can accommodate their needs. Yes.
Yeah, a lot of people have picked my notes. But let me overdoing a bit and say, I think this is the one city that has the government actors in the same room to be able to see and identify what everybody's role is. So I think from here we are going to be able to task or expect that having been together, understanding where we all come, then we should have a better way forward and action. So I wanted to just appreciate us for that good work, to be able to bring all those who are really relevant, and of course the county leaders who are coming, the assistant county chairs, and Unisana. But I think it's very important to acknowledge that. Thank you.
Very good. I think those comments are very good, especially for the Ministry of Trade, to have the comfort that whatever we are handing over to you has been properly, and then we can right up to shape.
No, it's just to point out. I think when Peter stood up to talk the issue of flood and payment of, because at the moment we have the HCD levy, and then we have the county government cess, which is payable at SOSA. But as KFC, we've had 2 court cases that were ruled. And one of the things that came about was that it is unconstitutional for the county governments to actually ask for this cess from our members, because they should be paying it through it. So we need clear clarification of the same, because even as much as we have these 2 court cases, one for Nakuru County, and the other one is Meru County, and they were ruled like that. But we still have growers getting harassed on the road. We still have growers getting harassed to pay this, sometimes in more than one county. So we need to be very, very clear. Where do growers need to pay this cess? We are not against payment of cess. It is helping us. And we need to be very, very clear. If our growers pay through the HCD levy, then let it be like that in all the counties. And if they're supposed to pay at source, then something needs to be done on the HCD levy so that they know that they're paying at the country of origin. Yeah. And it needs to be communicated throughout.
I think this practical experiences on the ground, definitely the one told us about Bungoma, is a good one. Very good. Anybody else from me? Oh, is somebody behind me?
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Jeffrey Bidai, as the chair of the Hill Committee. My question from the presentation that we've received today, all the fingers are pointing back to the county governments. So how best are we going to address or cascade such into our county governments? Because all these is implemented as well as the county. Thank you.
Yes, mine is a brief recommendation based on the question that the comments have already been made. First, what documents can be given to counties when they stop a truck? And same has been highlighted here. You see, there is no stronger document that the county should abide by than court orders. There have been several court orders. There has also been guidance by the Office of the Attorney General to the county governments. For example, Mombasa specifically, which has now, of course, suffered the setback of being ordered to pay back monies charged on base titanium, amounting to billions. But the county is currently still insistent on charging sales on trucks, which are moving tea into the county on an A1 road. So it seems like Susan Fish and Summer, all the key stakeholders are here. I think it would be useful for the evolution to increase the level of sensitization of counties, perhaps even a joint sensitization forum of the private sector players like in this room, together with the county government. In the previous discussions of this process there,
Council of Governors has been represented, it would be useful to have such a discussion so that some common resolutions are reached, and that would strengthen the policy and maybe a possible legislation that would then stipulate specific issues on Cess. As it is, the counties are aware, the same ignorance. They have been served with court orders. There are counties, of course, that have been stopped in their tracks. And the county was stopped in the tracks in charging Cess on tea based on annual turnover of a company. And they have not charged Cess since. Baringo County, the same. Nakuru County, in a formal capacity, has acknowledged, but of course the officers on the ground are still pushing and enforcing and embarrassing persons. So I think a common engagement or discussion that is solely centered on why the counties are disregarding court orders would be useful. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this comments.
Thank you, Gita. I'll start my comments by saying enough for the Retail Trade Association. Is not going. I'll start by saying enough already. It's 13 years old. I think we have significant documentation that shows what the process should be like, that tells us what we should do in the ground, but we keep talking about it. So I'll say enough already. If we can get the letter everyone, I think two people have talked about. It's in law, give us a piece of paper, we drive along the road with it. That already, I keep saying part of the challenge is we do not know that this exists. So when somebody who has authority, quote unquote, tells us we should be paying, we have no option but to pay. So the ask from private sector to government, give us a paper already that says you should pay X, Y, Z, you should only pay Y, and then we move on. That already could cure half of our problem. I think Sheila had told us in the previous, it is in black and white who can do what and who should do what. So maybe we need to bring it out. Maybe now it's time to have not boardroom meetings, but rather in the markets, where people are buying wholesale, the farmers are packing for export. Let's go out there and tell them, do not pay this when we go. Because we only have capacity to meet a certain number of people when we sit in markets. Let's go to Market Baraza and say this is what you should be paying. This is why you should not pay Cess. This is why you should pay Cess. And this is where you should pay. That way, the impact on the ground will actually pick up. But as long as 13 years on, we're still discussing it, where the farmer or the transporter is not, we will be here for
Thank you. I think has raised a very important point. At what point should this information be communicated? I don't recall, I think the next event that will is to bring together the river teams. Which is one of the team members. So that at least they can look at all these issues, the river status, holistically, and quickly put together a position that will go along with the policy position. So it's something is a pipeline. Maybe I want to comment on the next step of that. I know we are supposed to hand over the next steps.
Yes, we have indicated that there are two steps that could still be taken, although from the presentations today, I think we can confirm that we have all the instruments that we need to be able to take us to the next level. However, there was a request from the participants in the previous engagements that there is need for us to collect sufficient evidence, just to collect information about what is happening in the different counties. And that's an activity that is in the pipeline. The other thing, the two levels of government, and I'm happy that we also have the Intergovernmental Technical Relations Committee here. The other thing that the two levels of government are requested is that the legal teams from the government and the legal teams from the private sector and the government, that trade, agriculture, and the other ministries need to put their heads together so that they can come with the, they can agree on the legal framework going forward. But from the presentation that was made by the Intergovernmental Technical Relations Committee, I think we have sufficient grounds now to cease from having engagements again like we have. And I agree with what we have said. We need now to sensitize people about how we move forward. I think our next step should now be guided by the Ministry of Trade. I think the onus is now with the ministry to support this process. You have listened to the private sector. I mean, everybody literally from the private sector, and I'm really grateful because even the other government agencies are in line with our thinking. But I think we need to push the document forward. I don't see us now having a forum like this again.
Thank you very much. Sir John Geoffrey Brooks.
Thank you very much. So we have a big challenge because we are dealing with fresh produce. These guys on the ground, they know we don't have time to waste because they are rows. So the question is this: come January, then we start the high season. So this process that we are now talking about, in terms of we have government, pollution, academia, can we walk away from this meeting with the document? That's what we ask. Number two, so when I go back to the office, because everyone is waiting, and are you okay? So Peter, you came all the way. So what's the story, Madam Mori?
Good, thank you very much, Mr. Johnson. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we have done justice.
Yes, for me, just a follow-up to just on what Agatha has said and a few other colleagues have said. Advocacy is approached from different levels. So we need to have different parts moving. And one part, I could be wrong actually, that probably we haven't put so much effort so far is actually engagement with the county themselves. I know we have a few presentation here, and but I think that is where the sensitization Agatha is talking about needs to come in. Because that I see quite a bit of work for ASNet going to the county with these facts, only meetings with the people that matter in those counties in decision making to see the sense, so that even for the campaigns that we are talking about in the market, can we enlist them to be part of us? That's the way we have now come to the level of engaging with the national government. We're almost talking the same from the same script. Can we get the counties to that level so that maybe probably we've talked these setups for too long, maybe it's time to go down.
Good, thank you very much. I think those comments are good. And I think the president of the chairs from the few counties that are here is a demonstration that we are actually very serious now, moving down how to see how we can really engage them. Wow. Yes, Kongwe?
I wanted to add on. I think part of the seriousity of this discussion, it is very telling that we don't have county representatives, and not in terms of president, in terms of council of governors or the agricultural caucus, because I guess their presence continues to make this just a boardroom discussion. I know they were invited because I saw they were on the program, But unless they embrace this, we'll keep talking with one government. The 47 are still out there. And the 47 are actually the problem. So I don't know how to go about making them embrace this conversation. I'm sure it's a discussion round. We shall lose revenue if we listen to you. But as somebody said, we have no intention of not being compliant, but compliant where it counts and where it serves us.
Well, I think your concern is taken. Sylvia, we can only rely on people who work very closely to G that they are present here. Because on the program, you can see the COG is invited, but the representative is not here, and that is not the first time. So, but we are happy that you are here. You will not be there, but now you will. Maybe their time is not coming, but we don't want to have them on board when it is too late. Now, I had finished with this role. And it is only between, well, there are 2 hands here. I have to take both of them. Because one of them, if I don't, there may be serious trouble.
Thank you again. My name is Baby Songa, and I'm the one who will be dealing with him if he doesn't give me the mic. Okay, so my dream is just a point of appreciation to ASNET. Today, I'm really happy to hear that the chairs of county ASNETs are here with us, meaning the county ASNETs are in place. I must say, when I was at the Kenya Crops and Dairy Market Systems project of USA, we worked with the ASNET to start on, we had 2 county ASNETs as pilots in Kisii and Kakamega County. And it was really a process of trying this, that, and in the end, you know, the process turned out to be great. And now county ASNETs are actually being asked for from, you know, from ASNET. The counties are asking for these county ASNETs. So what I want to say is that chairs, you really have a lot of work to do, because much as we sit here and we come up with a system whereby, you know, the Cess issue is addressed, at the end of the day, what we need is that the private sector need to be well informed of the processes of even what we are doing right now. So sensitization is a key issue. And we know that one of the reasons of setting up the county ASNETs was that these ASNETs were going to become the voice, you know, they were going to be the voice of the private sector down at that level. We devolved the ASNET from, you know, up here in Nairobi down to the counties. So chairs, I think you have a lot of work to do. And down there, you are really going to be the ones who are going to ensure that, you know, the information is there. You are going to provide a forum for feedback from, you know, the counties back to the national level in cases where, you know, issues have to be addressed at the national level. So really you have a lot of work to do. But I just want to say congratulations, and you know, the mantle is with you right now. Thank you.
Good. Thank you very much for those comments. And now final.
Thank you very much. My name is Lydia Kimani again. My recommendation would be if we could pursue the same avenue that was used to get the letters to facilitate movement of goods during COVID, past the curfew times, and ensure that there's movement of trucks. And now that we have beds here, I think that is something that we could do, because we already have the court orders. Like Linda has already indicated, giving mandate that businesses are actually exempted from paying that. On the issue of creating awareness, now that again, like Dr. Soka has said, we have county boards, and advocacy is one of the things that we do. Then maybe as that we also look at how do we sensitize the public through our vernacular radio stations. We already have the county chairs from the counties who are able to speak in vernacular and communicate this. And this is a strategy that really worked well for the Kenya Revenue Authority when they were looking to expand their tax base. So these are some of the things that maybe we could pursue, even as we are pursuing the legal teams and the legal instrument that has been proposed. These are alternatives that work in the interview for business. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for those comments. And now, ladies and gentlemen, before I take a seat, let me again appreciate the support we got from ILRI. ILRI, I think it's started us off in this process in some way, where we made some good progress. Then ACD, MS, the USA, as just been pointed out, and heads. There were times, when you have very huge convening power. And when we come to you and you convene, you see the presence. The convening power that Ted has, nobody else in this room has. So we really appreciate the support you've given this process. And of course, all of you, because you belong to your institution and you have been sent here, taken time from your institution to see how we proceed with this process. Yes, I stand here, I represent the Gender Foundation, and I go back and tell them this is how you're supporting the process. Otherwise, as Chair said, I am done.
Pleasant duty of announcing lunch. That's good. I'll just thank you for us. And we don't take it for granted. Some of the suggestions that have come from the floor are very straightforward, and we can put some of them into action already. And I know that those letters that have been spoken about, they work. And so let's press on. Let's do formal things. Let's do the informal, let's do all the instruments that we have with ourselves. The court orders, the laws, put it in a letter, so that it's also part of the sensitization. When the askari sees it at the border, he will actually sort to read and wonder what it's all about before he decides what to do next. Don't be surprised if he trashes it immediately. But I just want to say thank you to all of you, and I am not hoping to see you again. A room like this is nothing Cess, Cess. I hope this is the last of the very many critical meetings that we've had. And just again, to thank our partners that have put with us from both the private sector, government, and also partners. I'm not going to report from the counties. We're very happy to hear with that. We'll be counting on you. Like I said, spread the gospel around the counties. So just like we started with the word of prayer, ladies and gentlemen, may I invite the lady from the fish to also do the closing prayers for us. They are not so blessings of others. Is there anything else? I'm told that because this is the last one we have, so we are good for to back in.
Thank you. Is this because the fish was served with cheese, like any chance? Thank you. Let us our loving Father, we have come to the close of this week. You have been with us with patience. This is a journey we started in Russia. We are now here. Father, it is our belief that as we have said, this is the last gathering that we sit here.
because the next one will be that it has been actioned, passed, and we have been able to take the great step forward in making business affordable to everyone. As we come to this day, Lord, we ask blessings as we travel blessings, as we go back to our respective organizations and businesses. May we take back the word, a lot of positivity, and most importantly, that we will see the gains of this year. It is the festive season. We ask for blessings, not only for us, for businesses, enterprises, but even for this nation as a whole, that as we come into the new year, the environment will be better, cost of production will be lower, and that we can get safe food to the tables of each and every citizen. We thank you for what you've given us. We thank you for things for that. And we just pray, Lord, that the environment gives you, and that we will always be able to also appreciate this. Thank you for those who've been able to gather here. Many would have been and would have wanted to have the opportunity, but for those who are here, we thank you. Those who have been online, we also thank you. We give thanks and praise. Glory to your name. This we trust. Pray. Amen.
Stars can give a moment. I call myself the latest champion of food, specifically food. You're going for lunch. Serve that which you can finish. Serve that which you can finish. If you see something you think you like, put a little bit, taste it, confirm you like it, then you can go back. It's called self-service that allows you to go back to add. Serve that which you can finish. Thank you.
Outside? Yeah,
Yes.